If you'd asked me 10 years ago what family meant to me, I would have said everything. Family was supposed to be unconditional, solid, blood over everything. That was the code I lived by, back when I thought love meant sacrifice and loyalty meant never saying no. I was the oldest son, the one who carried the weight that no one else seemed capable of bearing. I worked like a man possessed to build a career in tech, climbing from unpaid internships to a stable, well-paying job that allowed me to live comfortably with my wife, Elise. But no matter how much I achieved, it was never just about me. It was about all of us, about keeping the family afloat when their own dreams fell apart. My parents had always been big talkers, short on follow-through. There was always some next big thing that was going to change our lives, and it never came. Bella, my younger sister, was a whirlwind of failed ambitions. She wanted to be an influencer, a fashion designer, a lifestyle guru. Every few months, it was a new venture, another sob story about how the universe just hadn't recognized her talent yet. And every time, I was there to clean up the mess. I paid the mortgage. I covered the medical bills. I wired money for Bella's rent when her boutique failed and her landlord came knocking. I was the one who kept the lights on, who made sure the car didn't get repossessed, who caught them when they fell, again and again. They never even tried to hide their favoritism. My parents worshipped Bella, parading her around like a trophy, while Elise and I were treated like afterthoughts. Family dinners happened without us. Group photos were taken and posted online with captions like, "Family is everything," while I scrolled through them from my office after working a 16-hour day. Sometimes Elise would gently ask why I kept doing it, why I stayed loyal to people who barely acknowledged my existence outside of needing something from me. I never had a good answer. I just kept telling myself that this was what family meant, giving, even when it hurt. I didn't know then that all the sacrifices I made, all the years I spent bleeding myself dry for them, would one day be repaid with betrayal so deep it would make me question everything I thought I knew. It happened by accident. One rainy Tuesday evening, I stopped by my parents' house to drop off a check for the property taxes. They were late again, and the last thing I wanted was to see them lose the house. They weren't home, but the back door was always left unlocked, and I let myself in to leave the envelope on the kitchen counter. While looking for a pen to write a note, I noticed a stack of papers in a folder labeled "Important Documents." Innocent curiosity made me flip it open. I didn't expect anything unusual. I certainly didn't expect to find a copy of their updated will sitting right on top. I wish I hadn't read it. I wish I had left it sitting there, untouched. My name wasn't on it. Not once. Not a mention. Not even a sentimental heirloom passed down. Everything, the house, the savings, the tiny retirement account they had scraped together, everything was left to Bella. I stood there frozen, rainwater dripping from my jacket onto the kitchen floor, staring at words that ripped through every memory of late-night bank transfers, every emergency hospital visit I had paid for, every tearful phone call I had answered. They hadn't just forgotten me. They had erased me. My first instinct was disbelief. Then came a wave of fury so intense it made my hands shake. How could they? After everything, after all the times I had bailed them out, saved them, sacrificed pieces of my own life to hold theirs together? I sat down at the kitchen table, head in my hands, feeling the final puzzle piece click into place. They never saw me as a son. I had been their crutch, their safety net, the invisible workhorse who kept their dreams alive while they tossed scraps of affection my way when convenient. That was the moment something inside me broke. I decided I was done being their lifeline. No more checks, no more second chances, no more saving people who wouldn't have done the same for me. At first, they didn't notice. The mortgage payment missed the next month. A late fee, a warning notice. My father joked about bank errors and how these things happen. I stayed silent. Then the utilities were shut off. The bank called about the second missed payment. The laughter around the family's Sunday brunch table turned brittle. I wasn't invited, of course, but Bella's social media didn't miss a beat. Another brunch photo, another day living the dream. I watched the collapse from the sidelines. I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate. I just watched. The desperation started slow. My father's first call was masked as casual. Just checking in. Maybe if I had some extra cash, he hinted. My mother sent me long, rambling emails filled with guilt trips and backhanded compliments about how selfless I had always been. And then Bella, sweet golden Bella, sent me texts that would make an Oscar-winning actress blush. Jay, I'm drowning. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I need my big brother. The same big brother who was good enough to save her life, but not good enough to be remembered when the spoils were divided. I didn't respond. I wasn't being cruel. I was protecting myself. For the first time in my life, I understood that love without boundaries isn't love. It's servitude. The foreclosure notice came 3 months later. It was public, humiliating, a black mark on the pristine reputation my parents had tried so hard to craft. The house I had worked so hard to keep afloat for them was about to be stripped away. Bella predictably vanished into a new social media project about finding herself and starting fresh. They were too proud to admit it, but they were drowning, and I, for once, let them. Behind the scenes, I did something they never would have expected. I contacted a real estate agent. When the house went up for auction, I was ready. No fanfare, no dramatic declarations. I bought it. Not for sentiment, not for nostalgia, but because it was mine. Because after a decade of paying for something that was never truly mine, I deserved to own the fruits of my sacrifice. The day they realized who the new owner was, the messages flooded in. Calls, texts, begging, pleading, angry accusations. How could I? How dare I? Family doesn't do this to each other. The hypocrisy would have been funny if it wasn't so pathetic. I didn't respond. They had made their choice when they wrote me out of their lives. I was just following their lead. When the movers hauled away the last of my parents' furniture, I stood at the edge of the driveway, watching. Not with malice, not even with satisfaction, with closure. Bella made one last desperate attempt a week later. She invited me to coffee, said she had a brilliant new idea for a business, just needed a little help to get started. She promised it would be different this time. For the first time in my life, I looked at her and saw her for what she was, a parasite who had never intended to stand on her own. No, I said, one word, final. I walked out of that cafe without a backward glance. Packing up the old house felt surreal. Every creaking floorboard, every chipped wall told a story. Not of family, but of endurance, of survival. As I locked the door for the final time, I smiled to myself. I had thought revenge would feel like victory, but it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about freedom. Family had cost me years of my life, money, peace, dreams I had shelved to carry their burdens. But standing there in the fading sunlight, keys in hand, I realized something I should have known all along. Family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who values your sacrifice. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away.